What's up, guys, and welcome back to Rougefx. Today we are going over GBPJPY. This is going to be part 3 of it's very much going to be a pretty extensive series. Of course, the title of the series being called A Stroll Through Infinity, a series where we essentially stroll through the infiniteness of these markets and very much learn to identify not only our directional bias for the week, however, we definitely secure a few intraday scalp setups throughout that week, right? Of course, we're going to be starting from higher time frame because how else will we get our directional bias? Of course, I will not be showing the time frames on any of my videos because I personally feel like market structure and price action are king. That's the only thing you really need. Time, and especially in the markets, is an illusion, right? If you go to a New York session at 7 p.m., there's a possibility there may be a type of setup, not necessarily a guarantee. It's not necessarily based on necessarily time, but the liquidity pool that is very much being drawn to as well as drawn from, right? As you can see, obviously looking at the higher time frame directional bias, this is going to be, of course, the 4 hour, and then we're just going to work our way to and from. However, it is important to understand that you're only getting a more in-depth visualization of what's actually happening within these markets, right? Meaning the fewer the candles, obviously, the higher the time frame. The more frequent the candles, the lower the time frame, right? Because obviously you're on a time frame that displays scalp, intraday, maybe even day trade potentials, right? As you can see, as we look towards the left, we can definitely see a pretty decent trend line, right? If we stretch that out, you can definitely understand how we took out, or in any case, provided a liquidity grab, which would in any case confirm this to be a protected high, confirm this to be an inducement, as well as, this bearish, I should say, rejection block to be a decent point of interest. We shouldn't see a break of that, of course, if we are definitely bearish, right? If we are definitely looking to acquire lower prices. I'm going to go down to the 1 hour so we can definitely see what's actually going on within this price action, right? As you can see, we have our POY to the left. We have a pretty descending channel confirming our, of course, bearish intent, right? However, when I got to my trading window, it was about 6 p.m. CST, or in other case, Asian session, the beginning of. As you can see towards the left, price definitely provided a liquidity grab, and in whichever case, price definitely reacted to a point of interest, right? Which would be what? This pretty significant rejection block, correct? So in whichever case, price definitely rated sell side liquidity. And if we were going to label our range, or our official range, as you can see, we have a high left up here. However, it's important to realize or understand that this particular high is weak because it didn't take out a major high towards the left. Instead, it pretty much held, or confirmed these highs to be pretty valid, or at least for the moment, for in whichever case a pretty significant structural high. What would our range officially look like? Well, this would end up being our strong low, weak high, right? In whichever case, price definitely provided a liquidity grab, break of structure, and as well as a retest, right? But if I go on the 5 minute, you can definitely see how not easy, but how simple it was to actually, acquire this entry, right? We have our range of, weak high, strong low. We have an official break of structure, right? So in whichever case, we have a liquidity grab of the liquidity towards the left. We have a break of structure. We have a retest and reach for internal range liquidity, right? Which would be, in whichever case, 3 candle formation, or that pretty significant, in whichever case, rejection block. Price uses the rejection block towards the left of that as a point of interest, a pretty decent or pretty significant, in whichever case, point of interest, right? As you can see, just readjust. That was our entry, and we obviously held towards the highs, if not internal range liquidity, because who knows, right? Who knows? Just for maybe a pay the trader, if not internal range liquidity being taken out, most definitely this weak high, right? Because it's weak, it's already targeted, it's automatically targeted, right? So that obviously ran through, definitely hit take profit. However, it is important to understand that every trend within this range, or every trend within this any kind of range, is very much, it's not guaranteed, and it's very much short-lived, right? Because there's liquidity everywhere in the markets. As you can see, we had a bit of consolidation, as well as, a continuation towards these equal highs towards the left. Price retested, built a pretty decent amount of liquidity, being a 3 candle formation, as well as most definitely reacting within this breaker. From there, you can find a pretty significant fair value. However, I believe for me, I'm pretty sure I just used the Fibbo. Let me see if it was this the one. This was definitely one. So I just used the Fibbo, and obviously we respect our fib. Ended up being a 1.5, but just it's pretty decent, right? It's not the biggest risk reward ratio ever. However, when you add to this over, obviously this 5.4 ends up being dang near 6%. It's well above our, okay, maybe not 6%, maybe like 7.3%. But again, it's well above our intraday target, right? Intraday targets being at least 5%, right? It used to be 3%, but obviously when you gain that experience, knowledge, as well as, mentoring, or I should say guidance, it is important to understand that obviously you get better every day. You get better by, applying your rules and seeing if they work out and then adjusting, of course. And just for like future reference, I very much do like to understand where price was definitely headed towards long term, right? Longevity. As you can see, we do have a weak high. However, we do have a slanted high as well, right? As well as this actually being our structural, in whichever case, structural high or strongest high, right? Most protected high at the moment. We can label that out. So in whichever case, this would act as our liquidity inducement. We have a 3 candle formation to confirm that. And I mean, really, we can, next time for obviously future references, we can definitely target a slanted high. But again, for now, it's pretty significant that 8% would be just fine. Continuing on to our next trade. This trade actually, hold on. This trade was actually on Monday, right? We had a pretty slow week when it came to GBP USD. I didn't necessarily end up trading GU until maybe like Thursday, which is weird. But I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Like, it was definitely a lot of news, especially when regarding to US dollars. So I was just kind of cooling on it. Was definitely just focused on GBPJPY in the beginning of the week. As you can see, we ended up catching a pretty decent scalp trade. Yes, I mean, like, that's the thing about thinking in probabilities. It sounds crazy, but this was exactly a 5% trade, as well as the trade before that. That 5.4%, or I should say, our first trade of the week. It is important to first of all understand what price is pretty much giving us, right? So as far as, I mean, we're very much bearish. However, there's going to be times in the markets where you just approach the markets on a random time given date, and you're at an extent you're trying to secure what's there, right? Secure what's at the moment, right? You're not trying to wait for maybe this, in whichever case, this inducement to be rated and then continue lower. No, you're right here. You want to secure profits right now, right? So this is going to be around 9 p.m. CST on a Wednesday, right? Tuesday, we didn't really get much. It was just a very much consolidated period, very, very slow. It's okay. If anything, those are the best days because it just protects your account that much, gracefully, right? So yes, we are very much bearish in this case, right? Very much pulling very much bearish intention, right? However, of course, we were right here, acting within any kind of consolidation. I very much recognize that we were in some type of AMD situation, only because we did, start with a bit of a consolidation, manipulated out of it, reacted to a pretty significant POI being a pin bar, but above that being a pretty significant inducement. We continue towards the highs. As you can see, we had a choke. Retested is where we actually got in. Okay, so my actual entry is going to be or had taken place on the 1 minute, right? Because of course, I mean, you saw how the 5 minute looked. It looked pretty in whichever case, it looked pretty compact, not necessarily too much data to work off of, but as you can see, there's a pretty significant amount of data on the lower time frame, or the lowest time frame, right? So the 1 minute. So what are we first going to do? We're going to find our overall range. As you can see, price, in whichever case, created a weak high, continue lower, maybe an imbalance fill, or left a bit of an imbalance, continue towards the lows, liquidated in whichever case, a weak low, right? Reacted to the overall, in this case, order block towards the left, continue towards the highs, provided a choke, right? In this case, price is definitely in a consolidated behavior. It's looking to, think of it like it's loading, or it's thinking, right? It's thinking on where it's looking to in a case, raid liquidity, right? So as you can see, we definitely have. So as you can see, we definitely have a weak high, strong low kind of setup. We definitely provided a weak high because, I mean, this high didn't necessarily take out any kind of major high towards the left. However, this strong high is very much established because we definitely took out liquidity towards the left, right? Being what? Equal lows, as well as reacting to a pretty significant point of interest, right? So which would this would be a pretty significant breaker block, right? It provides a pretty decent opportunity for a long entry. Now, again, I've only targeted 5.6%, but it's not necessarily the percentage that necessarily matters, more so the liquidity that's being drawn towards, right? As you can see, we do have a slanted high towards the left, as well as a pretty significant three candle formation, if that makes sense. Which obviously would end up being, rated. It's liquidity. It's a pool of liquidity being, in whichever case, buy stops, right? So, yes, we definitely do have, in whichever case, a three candle formation, which stretches out to be what? A pretty significant internal range liquidity in this case, right? Because we are very much bearish. Now, again, this is just to understand that, we definitely missed out on just about 7%. However, it's very much important that you understand that internal range liquidity can look like an inducement. Internal range liquidity can look like a pretty significant imbalance or a slanted high or maybe this structural high. But it's just important that you understand that you secure any type of return on your investment and again compound your interest over time. It's not going to look the absolute grandest at times. 5% is simply on the 1 minute probably like 20 pips, and that's fine, right? Imagine how much 20 pips can do, especially if you're on, you're pushing, 1 lot or 10 lots, right? 20 pips on 1 lot is $200. 10 pips, or I should say 20 pips on 10 lot is $2,000. Like really just think about how, of course, thinking in probabilities, how much of an impact, over time this can actually have or carry upon your obviously trading account. As you can see, we took an internal range liquidity, reversed, and continued our way towards the lows. Again, this is just understanding that at times you're going to be at the markets at not the most favorable time to obviously go with pro trend analysis, but it is important to understand that these counter trends are very much a thing and they can equate to well over 5% very easily. It's just a mindset or a paradigm shift that needs to be made, of course. And that's of course coming with time, experience, dedication, as well as love for what you do, because anything that's done that you don't necessarily love or obviously have that passion for is definitely not necessarily a waste of time. But I mean, to the point, what is a 9 to 5 job? It's a soul sucking, just it's a waste of time, basically, right? Or what is actually going to school if you're not interested in anything you're doing, right? You're not passionate about anything or this and the third. It's our last trade on GJ ended up being on a Thursday. So our first one ended up being on maybe a Monday. Second trade of the week being I believe Wednesday, as well as this trade being on a Thursday. It is important to understand that you don't necessarily have to trade every day. Yes, there are opportunities every day to trade. However, in this industry, less is very much more, and it's very much the truth. As you can see, we are definitely heavy bearish vibes, right? As you can see, I only secured about 7%, which is, I mean, again, amazing, right? So at that point, we're pushing 7, 5. That's dang near 12% plus another 7%, which means we're pushing dang near 19%, which is, I mean, that's almost 20% in a week. We just started January 2023. That's pretty amazing. That's pretty something to be very much grateful for, right? As you can see, price is very much trending towards lower prices, leaving, in whichever case, protected highs as well as weak lows. If I look left, price definitely reached for internal range liquidity, being this three candle formation, or I'm sorry, very much three candle formation. But obviously, if we're being very much attentive, we can see that, I mean, if you stretch this slanted high out, we definitely get a touch. Obviously, it's a fake out, right? It's a three candle formation, or in whichever case, think of it like a consequent encouragement. Price left, or price definitely, took an inducement. However, price definitely as well left a three candle formation or a type of liquidity to fail your swing, take out any, I guess, early sellers from this, overall inducement. Price definitely reacted to this unmitigated wick, which happened to be what, a pretty significant POI. We continue towards lower prices as well as this weak low. Price actually fails to break this low before it. So in whichever case, providing a failure swing, price builds up a pretty significant amount of liquidity, being what equal highs, as well as reacting to a bearish rejection block, which would act like a pretty significant point of interest, right? And obviously, I mean that's where our entry came from, right? We had a failure swing, took an internal liquidity, reacted to the POI, continued towards the lows. We only secured like 7%, which is perfectly fine. It's okay. I did, intend for this to go lower. However, um, it's just again important that you secure any amount of profit. Wasn't nothing too much or too crazy to go off of. I mean, we do have a structure towards the left in maybe this three candle formation or this slanted low, but I for me, 7% at the time was it's a pretty decent amount. Of course, you're gonna have times where, oh, I should have held, I should have, this and a third. However, you need to understand it, or it is important to understand that every day is a chance to improve on your experience. Every day is a chance to improve on your risk tolerance, your patience. These are the opportunities given to you by God Himself, right? To obviously practice your skill set and understand how powerful this skill set can be. Because I mean, as you can see, we definitely missed out on. I mean, we got 7%. Like 7% is amazing, and I'm very grateful. But imagine if I held that extra day, right? I held till Friday, late New York. Imagine that, right? And really, if we're really like understanding again the vast amount of power that's comes from the markets themselves, I mean, we really missed out on 35%, but it's okay. It's perfectly fine. It's what it is. There's no perfect entry. There's no perfect trade. It's just a trade. That's the reality of it. It's a trade. And this was a very, very phenomenal trade. I am very blessed and grateful that I am able to pull or see the markets like this, as well as being able to have been given this God-given energy to actually do the things that I do, as far as teach, as far as mentor, guide, as well as be a leader in this industry. And I am very grateful. I do appreciate every one of you for tuning in. If you haven't already, hit that like button. Definitely subscribe to the channel. Ring that post notification bell. Stay updated on all our videos. This has been a stroll through infinity. I appreciate every one of you. I appreciate the likes, as well as the commenting, as well as the support within the community. I appreciate the support on my Telegram, as well as within the waiting room. How many people very much showed out, and definitely in a sense secured their spot, right? Because I mean, of course, everyone leads their different journeys. I'm not here to push anyone into taking the lead. It is imperative that you take it upon yourself to obviously take yourself seriously and commit to your own trading journey, your own personal trading journey, right? However, again, I'd like to take this time to remind anyone that if you are definitely interested in the subscription-based membership and or securing a one-on-one mentorship call that is obviously 3 hours long, definitely direct message me within the private community domain. Do not hesitate. I would definitely get you set up, as well as your role adjusted, so you can definitely again continue to build on your knowledge as well as skills, right? In a safe place, in a pretty safe haven for traders to obviously, obviously vent, talk about Forex, do this and the third, not necessarily, go through or walk this journey alone, right? Because I mean, anyone can go, anyone can do. And honestly, if you want to go fast, anyone can do this alone, right? But if you want to go far, and if you want to if you're in this for the long haul, like this is something you want to do, this is something that you want to do for a living, you want to do this long term, I do recommend this subscription based membership. Take advantage of any of our plans as well as programs. I'm here to help. I'm here to guide. This is not an easy journey. This journey is not for the timid, the weak, the hesitant. It's not for you at that point. Forex trading is not for you. A lot of people, Forex trading is not for, trading is for everyone, right? Anyone can do this. But it takes a certain mindset that's very much developed over time. And if you're not willing to invest in yourself, it won't, it just won't, and that's the reality of it. Thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate all the love and support. Until next time on Jody FX, y'all have a great night. And as always, happy trading.